Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. How are we all?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. How are you, Mr. Robin?
I'm quite excited.
I know this is a first for the channel. We've never done a painting thing on the channel. I think because we both feel we're both very lackluster when it comes to painting.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying my painting this year. And I am slowly getting better, but I think painting, the more I do it, the more I realise it's a very personal thing. So you just got to be happy with what you're doing and kind of ignore everybody else and their results, no matter how good they are, because you're all on your painting journey somewhere.
Exactly.
You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you'll get better. You'll get closer to where you want to be. I'm never going to be
Sarastro.
Zarastro or even people like John Grant and our patron thing. But
Yeah, John Grant or nearly or possibly Nerdy Rob.
Yeah,
and several others whose names now.
Most, to be honest, most of them. I did a piece, didn't I, recently for Geek Dad for the Ravagers. So I talked about the Ravagers, and I used everybody's paint jobs from the Ravagers, and they're pretty much all better than mine. But I am enjoying painting the Ravagers. That's what I'm doing today. So there we go. I suppose I should actually paint. I'm seeing your painting there.
Yeah, I'm getting more Gox ready. I've given him a spray. I've just been going over. I'm actually doing him in a sub assembly, which I very, very rarely ever do these days because I don't have the time, frankly. So I just figured, you know what? I'm going to give it a bash.
I've picked up my old pot of Knoll oil, and it's actually bone dry.
You don't get that very often, or you don't often see.
Not Knoll oil, which is why it's my old pot. It's a generic Vallejo, whatever. I haven't used it for ages because I didn't like it. It's good for scenery, but for miniatures it was a bit grainy. So I bought some proper Knoll oil, and that's why that one hasn't been used for months, which is what's gone dry.
We are very different in our painting strategies, aren't we? In that I've got a wet palette. You've never really got to grips with your wet palette.
Well, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I know everybody says it's much the better way to paint. All the pros use them, but I just find that the paint is great. If I do find sometimes my paint dries out while I'm painting, but because I don't paint for very long, it doesn't normally. And then when I come back to it, I find it was always too runny.
I do find that quite often, if I come back to the paint, and I'm making a right hash job of it here, and the world's watching me do such a crap job of this, I do find, if I come back to my paint later on, it can be absolutely far too gone, and there's no way I can use it. Sometimes I then use it to maybe reconstitute a little bit of, I'll add a bit of new yellow in, and then I will use the paint that's too far gone to then sort of not reconstitute, but to dilute it a little bit more.
So yeah. So maybe I think last time I tried to use it, I was using the paper from Redgrass, which I've heard a lot of wet palettes great. The paper isn't really good, so I keep saying to myself, I'll try and go back to the baking parchment and do it that way, and maybe I'll find an improvement. But I just haven't done it. But I even noticed today, partly because I was doing an exercise routine just before coming on, that it's warmer in here than it has been in months. And as the summer comes around, I paint in the conservatory. As the summer comes around, I can't paint. I certainly can't paint in the morning because the sun's shining here. But the paint dries out much quicker because it's much warmer. And then I'll probably have to go to a wet palette.
I definitely think for that kind of thing, it is absolutely invaluable to be able to do that, because it's just so great to be able to put the paint down and then you can work with it for absolutely ages. And I tend to find I actually get through my paint a lot more, and I can come back to a previous paint where I just think, I just need to touch up that model, and I can just use a little bit of paint that I put on there earlier, and it hasn't just completely dried out.
I have found, because Sarastro uses a wet palette, he never used to, but he does now. And I've noticed recently on his videos, he does a lot of highlighting and different shades, and has this big kind of colourful blends all across his wet palette. But he'll also say, he'll be doing one thing, and he's been doing a lot of OSL, and he'll say, I'm just going to mix in a little bit of the lightsabers, a little bit of the lightsaber blend into the shade for this. And of course, mine dried sort of 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So, I can't do that, or I've got to make some more up, and it's got, it doesn't, that hasn't worked for me. So a wet palette there would be useful. It's quite funny. So I feel like all of my bad habits are going to be on display.
Yeah, I know all of mine are. I'm sure there'll be people watching this back. Maybe not now. We do have Dave Henderson in the house. Woo woo! We have 8 people watching. Hello, you crazy beautiful people wanting to watch us idiots mangle models.
It says he only does sub-assemblies for large minis. I've been sub-assemblising for Kagras. I don't know if you can see this because of where Pete's got the angle of the camera. I don't think you can. Oh, just about, yeah. So I have got I've got my shield on a stick.
Shield on a stick.
Shield on a stick. Yeah.
Dibbler would be proud.
A Kagra, just because the shields are so big, they cover a big portion of them.
Now I'm trying to make sure that even though I'm painting something in sub-assembly, I don't waste an age painting any of the model that isn't visible.
Yeah.
Because that's just a waste of life, frankly.
Your brush is huge.
My brush is huge. I'm just trying to get the base coat down on this because I'm going for the typical yellow. So I'm already starting with some Uriel yellow for the undercoat. I'm following, hopefully if I can remember it properly, I'm following possibly Nerdy Rob's guide to doing the yellow, as he does very often.
Yes, his yellow. He's famous for his yellow across the world.
He is. It's a bit like, have you watched all of the Love, Death and Robots on Netflix?
I haven't, no.
They're a great little watch. They're like 10 to 20 minutes long each episode. None of them are linked to each other, so you can watch them in any order, but they're all various forms of animated sci-fi sort of stuff. And there's an episode on there called Sigmar Blue, which is quite cool. It's all about this person who gets famous for painting this colour called Sigmar Blue, which I won't say any more about it because it gives the whole plot away at the end if you don't watch it. So I won't say any more, but it's just that kind of thing where Rob's become renowned for his Uriel yellow, his hazard stripe yellow.
Yeah, and of course you use a vast array of Citadel paints, and I don't really use Citadel paints anymore. We're talking about differences between us.
Yeah, it's another one. Yeah, I mean, I'd say vast is maybe a very strong word. My paint collection is really quite small. Sorry?
You use 4 Citadel paints.
I do 4, sometimes 5 if I'm feeling generous. But yeah, I don't have that many because I've managed to resist the pull of just buying more and more paints.
Oh, I love buying paint. Compared with miniatures, paint feels really reasonably priced.
Yeah, I mean, you buy a pot and it lasts you like forever, doesn't it? Almost.
Yeah.
I was digging around in my loft a little while ago, and I found a load of old GW paints from like the 90s.
Oh, okay.
And quite a few of them were still really, really, usable. Some of them were still sealed even, and I sold them to a guy. I can't remember where, like Norway or somewhere he lived.
Oh.
And he, I think he paid me about 50 quid for these 10 or so paints.
Oh.
Which when you think about it, I mean that's what GW paints sort of cost now anyway, like 5 odd quid for a pot almost, depending on where you buy it from.
Yeah.
We have a few more people in the house. Who else we got on? We got Ildefonse Lazor. Hello. We've got Wolfman Gaz. Hello, sir. We've got Bride D as well. He's on the tram into work, so he's probably not going to be painting, but he's got a good half hour way to pass his commute. So I hope we help fend off that boredom a little bit. And the Hyper Sapien says, "Got to buy more paints. Got to catch them all. Got to buy them all." I would love to have all the paints, but I know I just wouldn't use like 90% of them.
I love one paint. I've got a ridiculous number, and I've just discovered that I've been into lots of people use scale 75 paints now, and I've just bought some red ones and some green ones.
Ooh.
You're over top of them. Which way do I need to go to make that better?
Go to your right, the other right. No.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, blood and fire, red paint set. I've got the green ones as well. I actually got the green ones out, so I might start She-Hulk today.
I do find that for me, buying all these expensive paints seems like, one of these typical 40-odd-year-old middle-aged men buying one of those £5,000 mountain bikes. It would be like all the gear and no idea. I am trying to keep I'm not used to this. This is the first time we've ever streamed, so I'm not used to trying to keep my model in focus. So I apologise if it goes out of focus every now and then.
It's more about the chat, I'm thinking, than the painting.
I think so. I mean, people certainly aren't going to be watching us for painting tips, other than a how not to do this kind of method.
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd try the scale colour because they are a very rich colour. And they dry quite flat, and So I'm just going to try them out. I've got She-Hulk to do, maybe the green. And I might get the Hulk model and try Red Hulk with the reds.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I actually got them from one of our patrons who's got a little shop now. Paint Battle and
Willen Games as well. There's another one, but yep, Paint Battle and Roll, who does the paint side of things.
He does paint. He's going to have games, hopefully, but not GW. But he's going to hopefully have some tabletop games, from his Modi. We're still negotiating that, I believe. But yeah, he's quite interested. He's into his painting, is it? So yeah, he's convinced me as part of his sales technique that I should try out the scale colour. So I'm looking forward to trying those.
So I'm going for a really basic sort of paint job on these. I don't want to spend too long on them because life is precious and I don't have enough of it. And painting is something. I mean, this is the first time, like I say, I've picked up a paintbrush since probably October last year, something like that.
Right. Wow. Okay.
I got out the wet palette and everything, and my paint pot, my water pot had gone dry many moons ago, and the wet palette had started to get mouldy and stuff, so I had to clean all that out.
All curved, the edges all curled up. Mine was last time I pulled it out.
Who else we got on? We got Ed.
Lack of use.
Ed's on. Hello, Ed. Speaking of paint, rattle and roll.
Talking about you, Ed. Did you hear us?
Yep. Was it ears burning?
Just showing off my curled up. No, I was just showing off my paints that I bought from you. My scale colour paints. And I know you. I was just saying how a big fan of scale colour paints that you are. But I find those kind of hobby materials just they scratch that itch of 21st century consumerism without breaking the bank.
Yeah, that is true.
And the main reason I switched to different brands of paint, as I've discussed many times before, was the ridiculously bad seal on GW paints.
They are awful.
I do store my paints in the they are stored in the dining in the conservatory. So in the summer they get really hot, so they just all dry out because the seal. And I know I'm partially to blame because I'm not very good at shutting the lids.
You are quite bad at that from when I've seen in the past. You've got paint pots barely even shut.
We all have weaknesses. Yours is comedy. And yeah, we all have weaknesses. Yeah, I'm not very good at that. So I know I do appreciate I am partially to blame, but I don't have that issue at all with screw top lids.
Nope, there is that.
Because even if you do forget to put it on properly, there's only a tiny aperture anyway. So
Milky Paints has jumped in.
Hey, Milky.
Hello, Milky. He's one of our resident absolute awesome painters. He's done several warbands for us. And the Hyper Sapien is saying, drop us a like, because 10 people haven't liked us so far. Yeah, chuck a like in there if you like this kind of thing. Give us a shout. Give us a like. Give us a virtual high five, like Joe Wicks likes to say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be really lazy with this. I'm using a lot of contrast paints. I mean, the Uriel yellow, I'm not using the yellow contrast. Only because I really want to try and make Milky's, possibly Nerdy Rob's Hazard Stripe Yellow work. And do check him out on Instagram and that if you haven't. His paint jobs are amazing on the Necromunda side of things.
I think loads of our patrons are on. Should do a post really of all our patrons.
We should, yeah. That's actually a very good point. We should do that.
I actually collected them all ages ago and then being the useless person that I am, I never actually.
Just forgot them all.
Yeah, I never made the post, but yes, we've got Paint Battle and Roll, we've got Milky Paints, John Grant Miniatures. There's a bad Norwegian painter who's anything but. Unitins is something like Unitins is brilliant. And I can never remember what it is.
Oh, it's
a play on words, isn't it?
It's a clever play on words, but now I can't remember it. It's that clever a play on words.
T has inspired me. It's Weapons of Mass Pigmentation.
That's it.
Yeah, which I think is the best Instagram name there is. And so, yeah, check them out. Maybe we'll chuck them in the description.
I will. Yeah, I'll try and update the comments later on.
Yeah.
To add those in. Yeah, I mean, I try not to be a sloppy painter because I hate having to go back over sections I've already done, and I hate as I said before, I hate the waste of life that is going back over things I've already done. And some of the things I watch people do, and they're like, okay, I'm going to paint it all this colour, and then they paint almost the entire thing another colour straight away. I'm like, but why? It's so much work.
It's funny you should say that, because on my Ravagers, again, in my Ravagers, the leather I've got, the leather colour I've got, which I think is, I use Vallejo model colours flat brown, it looks much more leather over black.
Yeah.
So I spray the midges grey, but then paint the boot black, and then paint the brown over the black, and it looks much more like leather than it does straight over the grey.
I mean, I don't mind that so much. It's just when I see people paint a whole thing blue, and then they paint almost the whole thing grey straight away, and then they paint the whole grey another grey, and like, I can't see the blue. I mean, it's probably there, and it probably looks fantastic in comparison to had they not done that, but I can't make it out. I've not got the eyes for that.
I recommend not watching a Zavastro video.
Yeah, I suspect, yeah. If I watched him, he'd be like, right, we're going to paint it all this colour, and then we're going to repaint the whole thing that colour. You're like, why? You just painted it a colour. That's just a waste of life. I'm definitely more...
Ed reckons your Raphael brushes should come with a not safe for work warning.
Not safe for work.
Because they just say 4. I've got one too. I've been using my... I actually probably need a 0 to get... I've got a 1 and a 2, but the 2 is like painting with a house brush.
I was going to say, I pretty much always use my 1. I barely ever... I've got a 1 and a 0, but the 0 hardly gets any use because I find the 1's got such a fine tip to it and such a full belly that I can do everything I want with that.
Okay, well, it's good to have a full belly.
It is.
I find that the 1 is actually a bit too full when I want to do detail. The full belly. Maybe that's my bad brush control, but the full belly puts too much paint out for me on small details. So I'm going to get a 0 and see how we go.
I'd say, since there's Broken Toad are brilliant. I think paintbrushes are very much like mobile phones, that you will, if you ask 100 people, you'll find 100 different answers as to why their choice is the best choice.
Yeah,
and everybody else is trash.
It's preference, and I find, I'm very, very malleable and just follow the crowd. I find whatever I've been using for a while is the thing that I like best.
I think these Raphaels are the first brush I've ever bought where I've gone, I can see that I've improved as a painter because of it. But then I've mostly been a GW painter for that, and then I tried the Winsor and Newtons, and I thought they were a bit trash.
For the cost, I didn't find any massive uptick from the Winsor and Newtons, I have to say. I've always been a fan of those, but since I've been using them, a fan of the Rosemary and Co. Series 33. They're quite a lot cheaper, but I think for the price, they're absolutely brilliant. And I still use those quite a lot, but I will probably continue to use those for things like contrast paint and washes, because I gather they wreck the brush, so I've been told. So I don't use my expensive Raphaels on that kind of paint.
I'm just trying to get the skin on this done as quickly as I can, really. But I realise I've done the armour, and now I've got a bit of skin right in between 2 armour plates I've got to try and get to. I should probably go... Oh, I've already got some on there. There we go. I'm going to have to repaint that bit already. I should probably paint it white again and then go back over it, but I just ain't got the time for that. So what are you currently doing on yours there, Rob?
Well, I've just actually just swapping mine over. I've just Kagra I'm going to stop for the moment. Because it's got wet paint all over. So I'm going to put gold on the mace at some point. I've just got a brown wash on. So I'm actually going to start. This is quite exciting. I'm actually going to start. She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. We're going to have to update the hashtags after this so that everybody knows that this isn't just about Games Workshop, and we're going to do all manner of... Well, you're going to do all manner of stuff. I'll probably just be on the same model for the next 6 months.
I'm going to try and paint She-Hulk. I'm going to use my new greens, Ed. I'm using boreal green, I think, as a coat. As a base coat. Boreal or errati. I think they're boreal.
Arboreal, as in like plant life.
Well, it is, but there's no R on the front of it.
Oh, right, so just boreal.
Yeah.
R.
character in, I believe there's a character in, well, it was a bit dark now, I couldn't have the bottle. And we'll go with it. We'll go. I had a quick look at the Rashbo's How to Paint She-Hulk. I thought, well, looks to that for a game, so
Ed does say make sure you shake those paints well.
Or did I not show that well enough?
I don't know. Yeah. He might just be warning you. Beware, young'un.
It seems to be all right. I have found that I've got the greys, and I have found that some of them are better than others. But some of them you really have to shake the head out of. Otherwise, you squeeze them, you just get this kind of gel stuff.
Need one of those shaking things.
Yeah, to me that just seems like something I don't need to buy. And I have a perfectly good pair of.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because you do like buying anything related to paints.
Well, yeah, I know, but things I'm going to use anyway. I'm quite capable of doing this.
I'm not going to say anything about that.
Well, this doesn't look right now. I painted it on here. It looks too dark, but we'll carry on.
But if you start dark and work your way up to light.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking.
I like to think that I'm the kind of person who has. I've got some of the basics down when it comes to painting, but I don't think I can be bothered to put the work in to become an amazing painter. And I'm probably not showing my skill off very well here because I'm trying to paint at an angle where people can see it on the camera. I've not got the best setup on the camera right now either. But I'd love to know how some of our patrons can knock out their models just so quickly. I think I'm just a slow painter.
He says, Wolfman Gas says one of his friends uses hematite bead in his paint. Yeah, I've heard about that, and I've also heard horror stories where they're not actually hematite and they rust and what have you, when you're in the paint.
Oh, what sort of like mixer beads type things. Yeah. I bought some glass ones.
Okay.
Because I figured they can't rust then.
That's true.
But yeah, if you do get proper hematite, then you're fine. It's not going to rust. But if you buy what you think's hematite and it's not, then I've got some paints actually where that happened. I bought what I thought was some proper mixing things. I'm not sure if I've got one here. Oh, here you go. So you can see on here, here's my white scar from years ago. I mean, it's trash now, really. I need to throw it away. But you can see where the see where the thing is. It's just rusted. And so I don't even know why I've kept that. I'm going to just chuck that out now. Unless I want to go for... in a couple of weeks I'll be looking for... I need a rusted white.
Ed says he's put glass beads in his scale colour 75. Do you sell glass beads, Ed? Are you working on an add-on sale there?
Just covering up some of the bits I accidentally got green on so I can repaint them yellow in a minute.
I'm not sure about this green for She-Hulk, but fortunately it's drying a bit patchy anyway, so I'm going to need to do a second coat, so maybe I can change the tone when I do the second coat.
Change the tone? We're going to start swearing?
Yes.
We've still got 12 people on. I'm pretty surprised that we've got 12 people on. I don't know how many people out there are just watching, listening to us to pass the time, how many people out there are actually painting. I know that David Henson said he's doing some painting at the minute. He's painting his... I've already forgotten the name of them. The Purifiers from Underworlds. I don't know if anybody else has said.
Plastic screws and not glass beads.
Sorry?
He also says he uses plastic screws to mix his paints rather than glass beads.
Is that going to be heavy enough, though?
Just no idea. Yeah, maybe he stirs them up with it.
Could be. Yeah, I guess you could just do that. I just accidentally painted on the tongue in Morgoth's mouth, so I'm going to have to go over that again. And I'm pretty certain there's going to be a lot of people out there, and I'm doing what I said I wasn't going to do now. I'm painting all the bits you can't see anymore on the model. I'm sure there's people out there who are going to watch this thing and go, why are you using contrast? They're trash. And yeah, maybe they are trash. But they enable me to paint a model much quicker to a semi-decent standard than any other painting method.
Which is appropriate to you. No, they're a tool, and you've got to use them as you see fit. It means you get your painting done. They're great. And also, they have some other uses outside of quick painting, I found.
Yeah, they could be useful for the odd sort of washers here and there as well. And
yeah. So I think I don't think there's any need for anybody to be snobby about them.
Well,
plus, the difference between getting the miniatures painted and not painted is colossal. Much bigger than the difference between using real paints for a want of a better word, and contrast paints.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. This She-Hulk is just blue tacked on the base, and as I turn around, she's rocking backwards.
I mean, anybody out there watching who has any comments to pass on my technique is, perfectly free to do so. I'm always keen to hear of any quick wins to improve painting without having to increase drastically the amount of work I have to do.
Pay somebody else. That's my attitude towards housework.
Well, yeah, there is that.
DIY, I should say. One interesting thing I have done recently, which I've never done before, this model and my Ravagers, I think, I actually painted with, I actually primed with cheap primer.
With cheap primer?
Primer, yeah. I did a project for my son, and I bought from Wilco a Rustodium or something.
Oh yeah.
Grey spray primer, and I had some left. So I thought, I've seen people say, it's just fine. So I thought I'd try it rather than using the Mechanica Standard Grey. It's a little bit lighter than Mechanica Standard Grey. In fact, if anything, it's closer to Grey Sear. It's a little bit more glossy on the finish than the Citadel primers, but it's about half the price. And I haven't really, in my eyes, not great. I haven't really noticed any difference in the finished article. Of course, they've only been finished and then put on the shelf, so maybe the paint will come off when I use them. But
you could fix that with just a layer of some varnish, couldn't you?
I'm so wary of using varnish. I probably should varnish more of my figures. But there's A's like when I finish a model, I want to get on with the next one because that's what I'm like. As you know, Pete, I'm not a complete finisher.
No.
And
I'm sometimes amazed that you managed to finish the whole model at all, really.
And then B, there's that whole problem of that time I sprayed them. Now, admittedly, it was with the old Citadel varnish. The whole lot just glazed over. Very crazed over. And I did cure it with olive oil, but it wasn't a fun experience. And not one I particularly relished repeating.
No, you're not meant to use relish, you're meant to use olive oil.
That might be the problem.
See, I just love the fact that with contrast, you can't really see it in the video, but like you put it on the arm here, and there's a vein in the arm, and the vein's already a little bit more pronounced from just putting a coat of the contrast on. Whereas if I was doing it the old way, I'd have to base coat it, then I'd have to go back and start to wash it, and then I'd have to go back and highlight it and all that kind of stuff. And ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. Milky just says they're another tool for everyone to use. Yeah.
The Hyper Sapien doesn't like them doing a whole model in them, but they act like a wash and he uses it a bit more like that. But I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. I certainly am not going to go around telling anybody else that they should use them all the time, but for me, they enable me to get done that little bit more in the little bit reduced time that I have.
Ada said, helpfully now I finished painting with boreal green. The erratic green would be a better choice for a She-Hulk. I did an that. I think probably the second coat. I think I will put on erratic green. I thought I might highlight up to it, but I think probably it's going to need to be straight on. But I think that'll be okay because I think the boreal will look all right in the shadows. But I'll let you know.
We'll find out. I'd go with some bits of the yellow again because the white undercoat was a little bit thin in places, although actually I'm thinking I'm probably repainting the bits where you can't see it because in fact I'm positive now I'm painting over bits that you can't see because I had the model assembled when I sprayed it, because then I just find that's the easiest way to keep a marker of where stuff is that you don't want to paint.
Yeah, I've got the wizard from Kagra's Ravagers here. I've forgotten her name.
Zarsha, yeah,
looking forward to painting her. And then I've also got the Red Skull here, so I'm probably not going to start today. I've got the Red Skull sitting on my paint list.
I mean, how long have we been going now? What's time? It's 20 past 12.
It's early, but we're 25 minutes in, but I'm absolutely exhausted. We're painting and talking.
I think the thing is, it's like, just painting on its own is easy enough to do. But painting and talking at the same time you're starting to have to juggle things.
Yeah.
And people watching, they're certainly, as we said, they're not watching for the paint job, so they are watching primarily, or partially at least, for the bands. So we've got to make sure we keep the bands going.
The Hyper Sapien says that obviously with the contrast you can add the media kind of change how they look and behave. So I do quite a lot, or did quite a lot. I actually haven't used it very much. I think because I've been following lots of Zoroastro tutorials, and he doesn't tend to use them. So what they are brilliant for? They're brilliant for stormtroopers. As a base, so you spray them grey seal or something, and then paint the white one over the top, apothecary white, and they look bonza.
Like proper job.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to put white eyes back on this model.
White eyes.
With my size.
One interesting thing I learned for Zoroastro started doing, which I think is quite interesting. He paints the eyes first before he does the flesh, and then uses the flesh tone to cut back where you've put the eyes in the wrong place. Which I'm not quite brave enough to try, but I did try it. It did sort of work.
And this is why I love the Raphaels, because I'm sitting here with the size 1 brush, and I'm actually managing to pick out the eyes.
Right.
The tip is just so sharp.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. But I mean, you can't probably see that very easily on here. But I've just about managed to pick out the eyes on that. And there was not a hope in hell I would have had with the Winsor Newtons or the GW brushes of being able to ever do anything like that. We've got a Matt Collins in the house. Hello, Matt. I don't know if you're painting or whether you're working, Matt. I know you work wonky shifts at work, so you might not be able to paint right now.
You just call Matt a wonky shift.
He is a wonky shift. I did miss the comment just a little bit further up that David Henson said any paint is better than grey plastic, and I will say yes. I'm not going to lecture anybody on painting because what people choose to do with their time is obviously their own thing, but yeah, anything painted looks better.
If you want to get paint on it, get paint on it. Does it better.
Yeah, however you want to do that, that's up to you.
Don't worry.
Especially
for Underworld.
Yeah.
Yorkie says eyes first.
I just know if I do that, I'm going to end up putting some wash on the face or something, and the eye's just going to get absolutely obliterated.
Yeah.
But you should. I mean, it makes sense to do the eyes first because, you know, if you're doing a model, you do the skin, then you do the armour that's on top of the skin, or you do the cloth that's on top of the skin, then you do the armour that's on top of the cloth. Here we go. Contrast Sigor Brown. This is one of my favourite browns, actually. Sigor Brown.
I've got an awful lot of browns in a quest for brown perfection. I don't think I ever really know which one I want to use. I've got so many.
Too many browns. And this is the other thing I like about the wet palette is you can just take a bunch of paint out and stick it on the palette to use, and you can shut the pot to reduce the chances of having that drying issue with GW paints.
And do the contrasts behave all right on a wet palette?
Yeah, I mean, they tend to maybe thin out a bit quicker.
Right.
But overall, I think they work all right. Very aware that we've got some dead air as we both sit here trying to paint, concentrating on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to talk.
That says Sigor Brown is really dark, but he reckons Gorgrunter Fur is where it's at.
It was very red though, that one. I found that a very ruddy sort of brown Gorgrunter Fur.
Like Doom. What's the one that Rob really likes? Doom Ball. I use that, but almost never for brown.
Well, I mean, his big selling point for it is for rust, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I did. No, you can see it. I did. Matt posted a how to do rust for Necromunda. The Necromunda channel, the Patreon Discord. But I did actually paint the girder with
a girder.
See that? I put that behind there.
To your right a bit. To your right.
Right. It doesn't really show up.
Far. Too far.
I'm slightly behind. I'm watching it on YouTube.
There you go.
Slightly behind. There you go. You can't really see it.
You can. That shows up quite well. You just need to have the bit of cardboard a bit higher up to hide a bit more in the background. There you go. Yeah, that works.
There you go. So yeah, it was good, and the beginning of that was sponging on Doombull Brown. Beginning putting metal down, but then beginning of that was sponging on Doombull Brown. So that technique definitely works, Matt. As well. Yeah.
Let me get the Gorg Runner. I've got some Gorg Run through. Let's try that, shall we? See how it looks then. If I can find it. Here's the Gorg Runner. Give it a good old shake.
Put some dry brush in there. What do you use for dry brushes, people? Because
Sorry?
what do you use for dry brushes?
How do you mean?
Well, what brushes do you use? Because I got fed up in Games Workshop dry brushes.
I actually followed what John Grant said. I can't remember if other people said it as well, but I bought a little pack of makeup brushes.
Oh yeah, I've got one. I've got two actually.
Yeah, there was a pack online of makeup brushes. A generic set actually comes with a little plastic box they came in, which I've now put all of my brushes in.
Oh, cool.
And I use those because the brushes are softer, so it gives a slightly softer finish to the dry brushing.
Yeah, I have also bought very cheap pack of flat. They're really cheap. Artist brushes, it says, but they're all flat-headed. So I find that sometimes for dry brushing, a flat head is better than the big bobbly head.
You can't use the artist brushes. You're not an artist.
Milky Page uses a 4-inch brush for dry brushing.
4-inch?
4 inches is about as much as he does, isn't it?
Anybody who says they've got 4 inches is just boasting. Oh, I've watered that down too much. I'm trying to get Gorg Grunter on the
Hypersapus says, anyone if anybody's used Citadel dry brushes to apply makeup. I feel like that could be our way into the beauty market for everything, Pete.
I feel like it will be a very short-lived career.
Speak for yourself. My skin is beautiful, he says, covering it in Carrack stone. People don't use their hand when they're doing dry brushing. I find it much easier to work out whether I've got enough paint on the brush before I brush it off on my hand. Hopefully
I always use kitchen towel for that.
Yeah, I just find I can't control it as much. Then hopefully I won't find that GW paints are highly toxic. Like now, yeah. We were saying to Pete before we came on air, everybody will see our really bad habits.
I think you said it when we were on air as well.
Oh, okay. I just repeat myself, to be honest. I was saying to Pete before we came on air that
See what you did there. Very good.
Yeah.
I tend to find that I have zero plan when I start painting a model. I just pick up some paints and I start painting, and then I'll be like, what do I do here? I'll just use some of that paint that I'm already using. Like I've got the brown that I was doing for his trousers, but then I'm like, I might as well just do some of these straps with it, and then I'll stick some on somewhere else as well. Just a very waste not want not attitude to the whole thing.
And quite often, I don't know what one drawback of using paint in dropper bottles is that sometimes you squeeze out too much.
Yeah.
And then I'm reaching round, what's on the table? Where else can I paint grey? It's normally grey. I was like, my models are normally base coated. Their bases, so quite often use grey as a base colour for the base. Quite often their bases are done. They've squeezed out too much grey too often. That doesn't look too bad, does it? So it's holding it up to the camera and probably getting it in the wrong place.
You gotta get that cardboard out.
Yeah.
There you go. Now it's focused on the cardboard.
Well, I can assure you it's not too bad.
There you go, got it there. Perfect. Stop. Don't move. It's not looking bad.
Not too bad. Quite pleased with that. Yeah, this She-Hulk green is awful. I wish I hadn't done that. I don't lie.
We're up to 16 people watching.
Hey, hello, 16 people.
Matt Collins says, Loz detests people who use their hands as pallets, Robin. Loz detests you.
Detests me? I don't know what to say. Why does she detest them?
I don't know, it goes through her, whatever that is.
It seems a bit strong.
Maybe
It's like somebody hating rice the other day.
I do find myself with the
I haven't actually got a tissue here. I need to go and get that.
I should talk to the people at home then.
Not very far away. Only over the other side of the kitchen.
I should talk very loudly then to everybody. I do find I try and use the brushes now to start painting on like little stripes in the fur or the cloth patterns and stuff like that.
You do?
I just think I should stop trying to do that because it's not going to look that good, and frankly, it takes like 10 times longer to paint anything then.
I don't know whether it's a visual perception thing, but I find that when people like Milky does it, it looks really, really like leather.
Yeah.
And when I do it, it looks like I've painted small lines on it. Brown stuff that's meant to be leather.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I find that when I follow the instructions online, their thing looks great, and mine just looks shit.
That's pretty much it.
I've been very lazy here. I'm just painting brown over some green, so I'm just getting a bit of a mess. But to be honest, I'm going to go back over that bit and repaint it white once it's dried anyway. So, but I've done, and I'm sure you do this as well. I'm sure everyone does this. I'm now going over one bit, and then I'm looking back and I'm realising, oh, I've missed a bit of yellow on this, and I haven't done that bit there, and I've managed to get some paint on that bit again. So I'm going to have to go back and touch that bit up.
I'm convinced there's some sort of magical forces at work that actually obscure certain areas of the model when I'm painting them, because I just sometimes go back to it and think, well, how on earth did I not manage to paint that bit? It's there, plain as day. Yet somehow I missed it.
Well, there was somebody, I think it was Val, one of our patrons, shared in the Discord the other day of some of his latest models, and someone pointed out that he hadn't painted like the whole front of the handle on that was right at the top of the model or something. He's like, oh crap, how have I missed that? And you can just miss these obvious points.
Well, they might have turned out to be a shadow. I can't remember now. But, right. I'm going to try and repaint this She-Hulk in a better colour green. This royal green.
Milky loves some cloth textures, he says.
Oh,
yeah. Ed says, little texture lines. Keep going till you think you've done enough, then do more. Do it again. More is better.
Ed's done the amazing denim on that bust he's been painting.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
That's got all loads and loads of texture lines. It's a bigger scale, isn't it? So I guess there'd be more texture lines.
Yeah, that's true. That's true on a model that size. I'm definitely going to have to do something with the cloth on the front, because I've done it in the brown and it's not really given any highlight. So what do people recommend for on top of the Sigmar brown to give it a highlight? What do the boys and girls at home, everybody who's better at painting than I am by a considerable margin, what would you recommend? If I'm going to have to go over bits again with the white just to fill them back in before I can paint them something else.
I wouldn't start with whatever paint it was you started with.
Matt has pointed out that whenever he tries to take photos, that always highlights all the bits that he's missed. That is a very good point.
Absolutely. Sometimes it softens the mess ups, I find, especially the highlight. If your highlight has gone a bit awry, I sometimes find actually under camera it looks a little bit better. You can't see the lines so much.
I find whenever I paint something, I think it looks right, and then I put it under a glare of a camera to take a picture, and it just suddenly looks shite.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this colour now for She-Hulk. I think I should have thought about it more. Probably wanted somewhere between the two. Maybe not.
I always go with the plough on ahead and then work it out afterwards front.
Yeah, I mean, it is the right colour I want to finish on, but it's not where I'm not sure where I want to start.
It's where you want to finish, but it's not where you want to start.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll put a dark green wash on. I'll probably solve the problem.
The most annoying bit is when you paint one thing and then you're like, right, I need to go back in and fill in some bits with white or whatever again so I can repaint it. And then you end up painting over the bit you've just done, and then you have to go back and you have to paint that bit again, but then you go over the white bit that you've just done, and then you have to go back and do the white bit again, and then you go back over the other colour you've just done, and you're like, for fuck's sakes.
We're there forever.
Yeah.
Just going back and forth.
I'm sure the main solution to that is don't be shit. Just be better with your brush control.
It's the measure twice, cut once kind of equivalent.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure you can do that with paints. I can never work out.
No, but it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Just make sure you get it right first time, basically.
Yeah. Basically, don't be shit, and you'll be fine. I think it's one of those things where I sometimes can't work out the best way. I mean, obviously you want to do dark colours before you do lighter. You want to do lighter colours before you do dark colours. You want to do the colours underneath before you do the colours on top, all that kind of stuff. But I can never work that out properly.
I never think about that in too much detail.
No, but then I end up in this world of having to go back over and repaint bits, and then I'm like, for God's sakes.
I don't know what I do next.
Also trying to make sure I'm not doing myself any favours with the camera angle. That is a definite. I do need to work something out better next time.
This blue is very blotchy. No.
The other thing I like about contrast paints is that you can paint a model, and unlike when you're doing it with the whole base shade highlight sort of approach, when you finish all the base coats and it just looks crap, is that when you finish your first layer with contrasts, it doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. I do find the contrast sometimes, certainly when I was doing the Lord of the Rings miniatures, which I was trying to do really quickly, I do sometimes just go, like you would say earlier, actually I'm just going to paint all of this bit there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But I also find the contrast paints like half the shades are yellow-brown colour. They're just, no matter what it says on the bottle, they're kind of some variation of yellow-brown. There's so many that could do for brown or leather or whatever. There seems to be anyway. And I haven't even got all of them because you took some and I didn't replace the ones that you took. You thieving bastard. No, I didn't replace because I think we split them, didn't we? I've replaced a couple, but like the brown you were just talking about, I've forgotten the name of it. I don't think I've got.
Holy crap! I've just seen that Milky says that he's only been painting for 3 years. Fucking hell.
You tired?
Yeah, I'm just going to give up now, I think.
Yes, that is impressive.
Dave's sort of helped, because I asked about what's the paint on the brown here, on his on the cloth on the front, and he's basically said a light brown highlight and a dark brown glaze. Yeah, I mean actual colours. What GW brown would you put on top of this?
In fact,
sorry.
You mean not actual colours? In fact, you mean made up Games Workshop colours?
Yes. Yes. Ed's been painting about the same as Milky, so that's triply impressive. I think the problem is, whilst I've been painting, and I'll use air quotes, painting for like, I don't know, 20 plus years, I've actually only been painting for like about 6 months.
Yeah, that's time spent is definitely I think. How Milky then? If you've only been painting for 3 years, I thought you were into GW for a long time.
Oh, Milky suggested some colours further up. Sorry, Milky, I'll go and have a look. Where did you suggest them? Zandri dust mixed with a brown, and then add some more Zandri dust as you go. I was thinking I might try Mornfang. I might try and lighten it up a little bit with Mornfang without going too bright.
I do like a bit of Mornfang.
Do you like a bit of Mornfang?
They have models flat brown and flat earth.
Oh, you're not one of those flat earthers, are you?
I am a proper. As you know. Put a picture to that effect on Instagram this week. Jennifer Waters is looking green.
Jennifer Waters is looking brown?
Green.
Oh. I thought you said Jennifer Waters.
I did. It's the She-Hulk alter ego.
Ah. I'm not thinking of Jennifer Waters. I'm thinking of
Jennifer Saunders.
Sorry?
Jennifer Saunders.
No, the other one.
Dawn French.
Not the other one from the same TV show, but never mind. I can't remember who I'm thinking of now.
Jennifer Garner.
No. You know, I'm probably not even thinking of the right person now, to be honest.
Jennifer Aniston.
I thought about Jennifer Aniston for a while.
I'm out of
Jennifer Aniston.
I'm out of Jennifer's now.
I'm thinking of Julie Walters.
Julie Walters.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah. I've just realised on She-Hulk the hands are attached to the girder and I haven't painted those.
Oops.
That's okay because I'm not happy with the colour I have painted it. So maybe I should wait until I'm happy. I'm going to try paint this green now. See how that goes.
Just trying to do the.
She actually looks like she's met you. Sorry, God, I interrupt you.
That's right. I was just going to say I'm just trying to do some rough highlights on the wood with the on this cloth with the Mournfang. I think I need to go up brighter than Mournfang. Mournfang's not very bright.
I was just going to say, she looks like Jennifer Waters as part of absorbing man as well, because her hands are kind of rusty girder coloured. I was doing the girder technique.
Ed says he's really enjoying it, but he's got to go before he gets fired. Thanks for tuning in, Ed.
Cheers,
Very much appreciated. And Ed also guessed Julie Walters as well. Ed also can't spell agents.
It's hard to spell.
I'm actually going to try and just make up some colour here. I'm just going to get some yellow and some white.
Wow, Pete's colour. This is just amazing. You're going to make it like a whole new colour, octarine or something.
I'm just gonna mix some white and a bit yellow with some of the Mournfang and just try and highlight it up with that, just to see how it goes.
I feel like you should have put that on the description that you make new colours.
Pete invents a new colour.
Yeah.
Only visible by.
Comes up with next or something like that. You need to put on the list.
Sorry.
You won't believe what he comes up with next. On the thumbnail next time.
Games Workshop hates him.
Number 6 will blow your mind.
Just gonna. I think for the most part this is going to do the trick that I want. It's just going to give it enough of a highlight that I haven't got to root around for any more colours. Because I'm a very lazy painter. But then I'm also a very sort of self-critical painter, which is kind of self-defeating.
So Dave Henderson says he uses fur and Rynos hide, a bad and black glaze, 50-50 Steel Legion brown to just Steel Legion Bane brown, highlight, then black brown glaze to just black glaze. Black. Try saying black glaze over and over again.
Black glaze, black glaze, See, the trouble with that is I'm very appreciative of that summary, but it was about 6 steps far too many for me.
Yeah. You need to break these things slowly to Pete.
Yeah.
It'll be done in a minute. First, do this, and then this, and then you won't notice that there's 6 steps after you've been through them.
Yeah, I'm definitely a bit like that. If someone comes to me up front and just says, just do these 16 steps to get the perfect leather, and I'll be like, no.
John Grant is in the house.
Hello, John.
Hi, John. He's just writing up his purifiers blog.
Oh, yeah, John has a blog. Do feel free if you want to post a link.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I have to say, I don't think I have the skill level to keep it clean. If you haven't seen John's My Armies Purified, they are amazing. But they're so it's like they've been created in a sterile environment.
Which is quite apt for the old elves.
Well, yeah, they're so clean. He's white on those rivals, possibly the only Rob's yellow, I think.
Ooh. So we just need to keep finding people to join the channel who have various colours that they're expert at, and then we can eventually absorb them all in some kind of Megazord painter.
But they're all pretty Megazord at the moment. Milky's worked with the dark black, or whatever it's called. It's not called black. But...
That looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's too bad. I've just kind of just made it up a little bit there and just put some various shades on, just made it brighter. I think that's all right. What do you reckon, Robin?
That looks pretty good. I like that.
That's all right. Does the job. don't know whether the yellow will help tie it all together, but here we go. Black 3.0, Matt Collins says.
Yeah.
What browns that I used first off, Matt? I used Sigmar brown to start with, then I used a little bit of Mornfang brown to bring it up into a mid-tone, and then I actually just used a little bit of Uriel yellow and the Wraithbone that I had both lying around to just sort of lighten it up a bit further. God, I just said about 4 steps there. That's not what I do.
Yeah, we didn't like to say.
So they go, I don't like using steps. Well, I just followed this simple 14-step practice to make this brown look slightly less shit. Oh, I'm going to stop touching it because I'm going to make it absolutely crap if I do. I mean, I know it's not great already, but it's just going to be awful if I don't. See, this is Rynos, the fur one that someone mentioned that I should use. That was their brown. I mean, I've tried to make it look a bit streaky because I've, on purpose, I might add, rather than because I'm shit. But I don't think it looks too bad.
That's right.
I mean, especially seeing as it's, Morgoth's arse. No one's going to be checking that. It ain't Septimus, that's what I'm saying. But I do find that's one of the best ways to make the contrast paints do something without having to go through a lot of work, is to, once you put one layer on, is to put another layer on, but in just the recesses, just to darken it up a bit more, and then to put another layer on where you can then just start to paint on, literally just adding the texture yourself as you're going.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I do feel like they're although because their advertisers do just one coat, aren't they? That was their slogan.
Yeah.
But actually, they are better when you use multiple coats.
Yeah. And why? Why did they use Space Marines to try and sell it? GW recommends Sigmar brown, Scrag brown, Deathclaw brown. Well, I don't have Deathclaw, so I just did what I could. But, yeah. I've got 17 people watching. Hello, everybody. Peter Magro posted further up saying, nothing beats watching paint dry. Brilliant. That is literally what we're here to do right now. Watching paint dry. But hopefully the bounce makes up for it.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, I am just trying. I would love to see if there's a way that we could get both of our cameras like nice and up close and we could swap between them somehow. But this is definitely one of those things which, given how we're set up, is quite tough to do. But I think we're doing all right.
Yeah. I mean, I could maybe try and get closer with him next time.
Closer to you.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
See, I look at a model and I think it looks right, and then I look at how it looks on the camera and I just think, oh God, people can see this.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about this gold that I've just been painstakingly glazing over the silver, glazing it over. It just looks a bit orange to me, but maybe it'll be alright when it's dry. Have a look when it's dry.
I definitely need help.
You need somebody.
Help. Not just anybody.
I don't think I painted this long for about 30 years. I normally paint about half an hour at the most.
For 30 what? 30 minutes, is that your...
We normally do 30 minutes, yeah. And then normally go off and do something else. I think I've actually painted for an hour for a very, very, very long time. Well, for an hour.
I think this is the first time I've painted in months and months and months. But it's nice to see that I'm not absolutely terrible at it still.
No, I think you're more competent than I am, considering how little you do it.
How what, sorry?
You're more competent than I am, considering how little you paint. You kind of get straight in there and get good results.
I don't say good, but I just figure I'm just going to crash in and do it. I can't be bothered to wait. I suffer from not being able to take things slowly. Do you say finish the sentence? Tell you what, painting whilst having people to talk to is actually a bit more fun.
It is. I do feel very on show. And also, even though you can't see it, I feel very self-conscious about my ridiculous lockdown fringe.
But then, I mean, everyone could see that clearly.
I know.
in our chats.
Particularly, I suppose because it gets in my eyes more when I'm painting. It feels more obvious.
We also got more green on some of the yellow armour. I really should have started with the green on this.
It's also slightly longer now. But also choose to
Ooh,
I find it it goes through different stages of irritation. Sometimes it's better when it's a bit longer. I'll stop this conversation now.
FNAF. Ah, my dice, my paint things come apart.
Yeah.
I am very. What do I do on the bindings around his legs? What do we reckon? Do I do a skeleton horde on them, or do I do a grey of some kind?
I like skeleton horde for bindings.
Yeah, I think it works.
Yeah, but then maybe you want a different colour because you've got yellow and brown. Maybe another yellowy brown, won't it?
Possibly.
Here we go for a thinned black or something. But yeah, grey, like you said.
Oh, I got a grey. Let me see if I got a grey. I should have a grey. There we go. Basilicum grey. This is the one problem with contrast paints. Is like if you don't use them for a while, you then got to shake the devil out of them.
Yeah.
Juan Hidalgo, whoever that is, uses contrast as a base, then highlights up to every metal stand. Oh, I think I've seen some of his videos. He does like a I saw one of his Death Guard ones, and it looked absolutely amazeballs.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm going to try some grey on the bindings and see how that goes. Make some on the palette.
It's amazing the different abilities of painting. You think it's effectively the same discipline everybody's trying to do, but you look at Tyler Mengel's Stormtroopers and compare them with mine, and even when I follow the recipe that he does, you look at the finished product and just think, well, where am I doing wrong?
I think some of it just does come down to muscle memory or practice. It sounds corny, but it's just practice makes it perfect. It's just knowing how to work those various colours and how different colours work differently. And
it's a smoothness as well. Maybe that's practice. Maybe it is knowing how to thin your paints to get the smooth, and particularly on those whites, which goes back to like John's whites as well. I don't think I'd ever get the smoothness, even if I followed the instructions.
That is a big problem I've always had, is how do you know when you've actually watered it down enough? And I know we have milky paints in tonight, and part of the thing is the whole, it should be the texture of milk. And I'm like, what the fuck is the texture of milk? Like, that's water. Surely it's water, but I know it's not, but it's...
Pancake mix apparently should be the texture of double cream. I've never quite got that right. I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, does that mean it shouldn't have lumps?
I don't think it should have lumps.
It should have lice. I said lumps.
No, lumps. I don't think it should have lumps or lice.
Probably not lice.
But, the lumps is not so bad as lice, I think, on balance.
Unless you're after some kind of extra protein in your meal.
Or a nurgle.
Yeah. The other model I've got, and rather foolhardily, the other model I sprayed up in potential for today was old Golgok. I was thinking I might have a go at him, but I don't think I'll have a chance.
No, we're coming up to 1 o'clock.
Ah! I almost don't want to stop.
Mrs. Brooks will be down, well, because you don't have to. Mrs. Brooks will be down demanding her lunch.
Well, she's very unlikely to turn up here demanding her lunch.
Oh, exactly. No, exactly. So you can carry on.
I'd be like, why are you here? You don't live here.
She's heard your lunches are better than mine.
I do have the dog. I'm going to have to stop at some point so I can take the dog out, which is a bit of a pain.
So I'm going to finish there. I think it's not finished, but that's the end of my painting session. There is my Kagra. I don't think I've got it in the right place.
Move to the right a bit. There you go. Stop. Bring it forwards a little bit. It's just sort of focusing on you rather than the board, annoyingly.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing of having to deal with webcams.
Yeah, there's my slightly out of focus Ravager. Yeah, that's not. Is that really? Anyway, there you go. I'll maybe put a picture up on somewhere. I've nearly finished it actually. She's only got. I've got to just do a little bit more on the gold because it's a bit orange, and I just got to do the rim, I think, and then I've finished.
So a light bit of rimming.
Yes, just a bit. Yeah, there you go. So, yep. Well, I know you carrying on, Pete.
It is 1 o'clock. I probably do need to go and take the Doge out for a visit outside, lest I end up having to clean up the inside again.
Right.
How have people found this? Do let us know if you've enjoyed this.
People have appreciated my character, so that's good. But VJ says he can't hear anything. He's just reading the chat.
Can't hear anything.
Johnny Milan, I think he's probably presumably just got it on mute or something.
Oh, I see. He might be at work or something like that.
Although he's in Australia, isn't he? So, he's off. He's on. He does say he's on to hour 6, and we're on to hour 6 of VJing at the club.
Oh.
Wow. So Morph is VJing.
Nice.
Oh, Lazarus has just popped in as well. John Grant says use Lamian medium instead of water, then you do not change the properties of the paint.
Yeah, there is that.
Oh, that's the texture of milk, but you go through an awful lot of Lamian medium if you water it down all the time. I do use some Lamian medium. I've also got some Vallejo thinner medium and some Glade medium. Depending on what I'm doing, I don't really know when to use which one, but I'll make it up as I go along.
It's pretty much how I work. Just chuck, as was already highlighted in the highlighting of the brown on his loincloth. It's just a case of I'm just going to chuck some things on and see what works, basically. That's pretty much how I work. I do need to try and work out how to get the camera at a better angle because I think that's not been great. So hopefully we can sort something out there.
People seem to be loving it. Well, I think we're going to try and make it a regular Friday lunchtime thing, aren't we, Pete?
I'm going to have to try, yeah. I mean, I'm going to have a word with my boss.
Right.
Because obviously, I'm at work on Fridays. But I am also at home, so theoretically, I'd be on my lunch break anyway.
Exactly. If you went to the gym or something, you'd have an hour.
Exactly. So hopefully, it's okay. It's not a problem. And
the only problem I may have is holidays. Is the forthcoming Easter holidays.
That will be the trick, yes.
If they children go away for an hour.
Just leave me alone.
So maybe it'll be all right. Not going on holiday. Not going away on holiday anytime soon. So maybe be there. And I will have a problem in the summer. I may have to rethink in the summer because in here at lunchtime it's absolutely boiling.
Yeah, you might explode.
It's a few months away, so it's way too much about that right now.
Well, maybe you'll have the beginnings of I don't know if by the summer if you'd be in a position where you might have your new abode set up.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not sure I will. We haven't contacted anybody about it yet, so possibly not.
We just need to get Milky, don't we? Get him to make it.
Possibly.
How big would it be? How big would it be, though?
Well, I'm looking at getting a proper office space, so that's 30 still. No, I don't know. I mean, it's sizable. I don't know what. I haven't really looked at it, but a decent footprint. Very nice. I like that yellow. That's looking good and strong.
It's not bad for the first hour because the next thing will be to just go over all that yellow with a wash, and that'll immediately make it look about 100 times better. And I might do that just before I take the dog out.
Okay.
But equally, I might not because I'm scared I'll fuck it up. So I might do that later.
Right. Okay.
So I hope everyone's enjoyed it. We're up to 17 people. I hope everybody who did jump in enjoyed listening to our inane chibber-jab. And if we do start doing this on a regular basis, hopefully maybe other people can join in. We'll make it a regular Friday lunchtime sort of slot. And see how we get on.
I suppose the advantage in the school holidays is that those people who are teachers won't pop on as well.
That is true. That is very true.
All right, cheers. Thanks for watching. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. And then maybe one day we'll be up to into minis type numbers. How cool would that be?
That would be absolutely awesome. Frankly, I'll settle for a tenth of that, to be honest.
500 to go or something.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, we're up to 19 now. The more we say goodbye, the more people join. Hello, hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye, hello.
Watch.
Thanks all for joining, and we hope to see you soon in the Underworlds. Maybe another session painting, or maybe next Tuesday night live. Maybe we'll do some Tuesday night live painting sessions if we don't get very much news from GW. Give us something else to talk about and do.
Matt's playing Marvel Champion, so enjoy that, Matt, this afternoon.
Enjoy. Gerard's just said cheers, and thank you, Gerard. I don't think we've seen you comment before, Gerard. So do if you haven't, do follow and keep an eye out. Ring that bell or whatever it is, so that when we do go live, you get a little notification. And we'll see you all soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.